Summary of The Mature Mind. The Positive Power of the Aging Brain. By Gene Cohen. Older minds. An elderly couple was late for a dinner engagement, but a howling snowstorm meant no cabs were available to take them to their destination. After pondering the situation, the old man and his wife walked to a nearby pizza shop. Once inside, the old man said that he wanted to order a pizza for delivery to his destination address. "And I want you to deliver my wife and me with the pizza," he said. This true story is emblematic of how the elderly can exhibit the most remarkably agile and resourceful thinking. It is often claimed that the elderly suffer from increasingly fuzzy thinking as they age. Many believe that they are not able to learn as readily as they used to, that the brain is incapable of generating new brain cells, and that intelligence simply reflects the number of neurons in the brain and the speed at which they work. These propositions are all false. Of course, the aging process does affect the brain. But minds, also gain numerous advantages as they age: accumulated knowledge and experience, greater wisdom and more profound insights. Scans show that older brains are far more complex than younger brains. Decades of learning develop enhanced neuron connections, synapses, which improve brain function. Also, continual mental activity throughout life stimulates the growth of more neurons. Interestingly, so does exercise. This enhanced neural architecture translates into an increased ability to deal with emotional difficulties. Additionally, the limbic system, the brain structure of emotions and memory, becomes more serene with age. Thus, older people are generally less negative and calmer in adversity. Unlike the young, who can use only one half of their brains for specific cognitive functions, the elderly are able to use both sides. Research indicates that people can boost their brain power by constantly challenging their brains. Try learning a new language or musical instrument, engaging in physical exercise, and remaining socially active. Anyone can embark on a course of self-improvement, including the elderly. Indeed, individual development can be just as strong a factor for people in their 90s as it is for young people entering college. The elderly often involve themselves in personal agendas for development that are far richer than those of people in their 20s and 30s. Older people can and should work to develop their developmental intelligence. It is marked by a maturation of certain capabilities, social skills, emotional intelligence, life experience, and overall cognition. Many group these qualities together and call it judgment, wisdom, or perspective. Developmental intelligence is all these and more. It manifests itself in highly sophisticated forms of cognition that involve three distinct thinking styles. 1. Relativistic thinking, recognizing the importance of context. 2. Dialectical thinking, resolving the contradictions in opposed points of view. 3. Systematic thinking, adopting a broad-gauge view of a situation. The second half. Older people can put their highly capable brains to maximum use during the second half of their lives. This period is divided into 4 stages. 1. Phase 1, a re-evaluation and transition, normally takes place when people are in their early 40s through their late 50s. 2. Phase 2, a period of experimentation and liberation, late 50s through to the early 70s. 3. Phase 3, a resolution phase, late 60s through to the 80s. 4. Phase 4, a phase devoted to reflection and also celebration, late 70s until death. Phase 1 represents a re-evaluation at midlife. This is the period when people become aware of their mortality and react with feelings of angst that can turn into depression. Individuals begin to question where they are in their lives. Some describe this period as a midlife crisis, others see it as a form of quest. For many, Phase 2 represents a freeing up of oneself, often due to retirement, and it is during this phase that people feel the urge to try new things. The brain's dendrites, nerve cell branches, reach their maximum number and become most highly dense, and at the same time new neurons develop. A common mantra for people experiencing Phase 2 is, if not now, when? Both Phases 1 and 2 can be hugely positive experiences. Phase 3 is the time when you begin to sum up your life, when you want, and need, to determine your life's meaning. At this time, as their 70s approach, people focus more on autobiographical efforts, including storytelling. During this period, it is also common for older people to want to give back what life has given them. Thus, many become active volunteers. Phase 4 is the time for encores, beginning during a person's late 70s and carrying on until death. It is a time of newly developed perspectives and new opportunities for self-expression. When they were both more than 100 years of age, Sarah and Bessie Delaney, two sisters of African American descent, wrote The Delaney Sisters, The First 100 Years, truly an encore for both women, as well as a summing up. At this stage in life, many elderly people develop a refreshing sense of humor about their own mortality. At 97, when asked about his perspective on aging, comedian George Burns said, "I now ask for my applause in advance, just in case." Memory and wisdom. In the State Museum in Tbilisi, Georgia, lies a famous skull. Scientists who have studied it call it the Old Man. It is a reminder from the distant past, 1.8 million years ago, of the hominid species Homo erectus. This skull belonged to a creature that was about 40 years old at death, the equivalent of 100 today. It is probable that he and his tribal members shared some form of language, an unusually valuable asset in those dangerous times. Knowledge about how to stay alive, to hunt for food, could be passed down from older tribal members, like the Old Man, to those younger and less experienced. Older people have much to teach others. What is wisdom? It involves basing one's forecast of the future on what has already taken place. It represents accumulated knowledge and experience, termed crystallized intelligence. These, of course, are the special gifts that older people have to share. In the later stages of life, people often become most contemplative, and better able to base decisions on a full range of available information, intuition, and feelings. Memory becomes the true foundation of wisdom. This parallels changes taking place in the brain itself, which begins to work more efficiently. Indeed, despite common perceptions, cognitive and intellectual abilities do not peak when you are young, but in midlife and beyond. Social intelligence. The ability to sustain old relationships and to build new ones is social intelligence, and it almost always improves with age. But scientific research conducted a half-century ago held that the elderly disengage from others socially as they age. But this research included a notable flaw: the adults studied were not all in good health. Nevertheless, this research has had a profound effect for many years on attitudes regarding the elderly. However, other researchers determined that the elderly want to stay as socially involved as any other group. This now is the consensus opinion. Indeed, thanks to their natural emotional and social resiliency, the elderly often are better able to deal with others in a social context than the young. Current research indicates that as they age, men strive to increase their connections socially, and women, who are naturally more social, try to become involved in issues of social justice. Samuel Johnson wrote this to an elderly friend: "If you are idle, be not solitary; if you are solitary, be not idle." This is valuable advice for any older person. Strive to stay involved through engaging activities, interpersonal relationships, and mentally rewarding challenges. There is no reason that retirement should represent a period of retreat from life. Instead, it should be a time for exploration and new growth. Plan your retirement so you remain socially active. You do not need to develop a detailed agenda that outlines myriad activities. Instead, think of retirement planning as similar to the planning a young person does on entering college and choosing courses for the first time. Like college, retirement offers a plethora of choices. During retirement, engage in activities with long durations, for example, join a book club that meets regularly. It is through such associations that you will make new friends. Retirement is also a period of giving something back to others, a crucial imperative for older people. Staying active mentally and physically is just as important, so try to engage in a continuous learning process. Follow these 10 suggestions on how you can enrich your retirement. 1. Do puzzles and play games. 2. Organize a dinner club. 3. Travel. 4. Take a college course. 5. Start a new hobby. 6. Help others by volunteering. 7. Try part-time work. 8. Correspond more often with friends and family. 9. Organize a journal of your dreams. 10. Write your autobiography or memoirs. Creative activity. Most people believe that creativity peters out as people age. This is not true. Creativity in its broadest sense covers all realms of human activity. Plumbers, gardeners, bricklayers, and football coaches can be just as creative as artists and writers. In life's second half, creativity involves these three patterns: 1. Commencing creativity, 2. Continuing creativity, and 3. Creativity connected with loss. Many people become more creative as they age. Many of the best African American folk artists active from 1930 to 1980 did not begin painting, or did not achieve their success, until they were 65 or older. The midlife phase pushes people in new directions, the liberation period provides a sense of freedom, the summing up period prompts many to become creatively engaged in autobiographical pursuits, and the encore phase solidifies this tendency. As a young man, Bertrand Russell concentrated on his professional calling, mathematics, and in 1942, along with Alfred North Whitehead, he published Principia Mathematica. Then, as Russell aged, he shifted his focus to philosophical and social issues. When he was 73, he published his classic work A History of Western Philosophy. With age comes loss, a loss of health, loss of position, loss of family, loss of friends, and, ultimately, loss of life. Creative pursuits enable older people to deal with such losses. William Carlos Williams is a good example. A pediatrician, Williams was hit by a stroke in his 60s that affected his motor abilities and forced his retirement. He became severely depressed and stayed so for years. Then, in his 70s, he underwent a period of creative rebirth. At 79, he was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for his luminous poetry, Pictures from Bruegel. Later, he described the old age that adds as it takes away. It takes a poet to sum up old age so aptly. Being creative in old age is a wonderful prescription for staying healthy. When you engage your mind, you also engage your body in a positive manner. 3 primary factors help the elderly remain young. 1. Sense of control. Creative pursuits provide a feeling of mastery, a wonderful elixir. 2. Social engagement. People who stay engaged with others live longer and enjoy better health. 3. The engaging nature of art. Creative activities such as painting and drawing are stimulating and entertaining, and make people feel good about themselves. You can have a remarkably rich and enjoyable life as an older person. Plan and organize your life to make it so.